Okay, hello everybody. This is Rick Allen, Dr. Rick, with our ultimate success system that never fails. We're going to do this, and I've got a little bit of house cleaning and a little bit of explanation. I haven't done a webinar in a long, long time. We're talking several years. Technology has changed greatly, actually for the better, but there's going to be glitches along the way. This is my first time actually, other than running through and practicing, using Zoom, and that will be the platform that I plan on doing my webinars and coaching and teaching sessions on. So I ask everybody to bear with me here while we kind of go through this and learn this system with Zoom on how to use it. And I'm sure that I'm going to make many mistakes along the way. One of the things that I want to make sure that I'm doing is recording the program because this will eventually turn into a product. So I want to make sure that it's recording. So as you can see on my slide here, I have start recording. So I am going to do that right now, making sure that I am indeed recording this. So as I said, bear with me as I go through all of this. It looks to me like everything should be going as far as recording properly. I have a backup laptop sitting over here. I'm assuming that the sound and everything is okay. There is a way to do chat on this, but I have not figured that part out yet. So as I said, bear with me while we kind of work through this together. If I make horrendous mistakes, that's why. As I do these and become more familiar with the program, of course it will be smoother and things will run along better. But as you will see as we go through the ultimate success system that never fails, one of the main principles, which I will point out to you coming up here, one of the main steps is exactly what I'm doing right here. And you'll understand what that is when we get to that part of the system. A little bit of a house cleaning. Once again, my name is Rick Allen. You can call me Doc Allen if you like. That will introduce me, I guess. So we're going to try that again, okay? Because we're probably going to cut all of this out of the actual product recording. There's no reason for that to be on there. So it is good to be back, though, and I've got a lot of plans coming up for launching a lot of new programs this year. Have my health issues behind me. Had a doctor's appointment just this morning, and everything is going well with me. Finally, after over a year of dealing with all kinds of issues, which we will not go into, but my plumbing's working all right. I'm doing okay. Everything is fine at this point. A little bit of housekeeping. Once again, the name is Dr. Allen, Dr. Rick, being a little less formal here. Rick Allen, a lot of you know me from the past. A lot of you don't know me, so I have a lot of new faces out there, and hopefully we'll make a lot of new friends along the way this year. That's another one of my goals that I have, is to network and get to know people a little better and find out what I can do to help and serve you with all that we're involved in and what we're doing. If you see me looking down here, I'm looking at notes. Yes, I have notes. As I said, it's been a long time since I've done a webinar, so I want to make sure that I cover everything. A little bit of housekeeping. If I can have your full attention, I'm sure you hear this anytime you get on a webinar. please no distractions. Don't be surfing. Don't be checking your emails. Don't be texting, talking on the phone. Give me your full attention. This is a relatively short time span that we are spending together here of less than an hour. So I will keep it on track. And if I can have your undivided attention for that hour, it will be beneficial to you and also to me as well. You will want to have something to write with. I actually am going to make a suggestion to you. You may be comfortable just typing notes on your laptop or your desktop, however you're listening and watching this. But I'm going to suggest that you actually get paper and a pen or pencil or crayon or something and actually write the notes down. There's something about the process of being able to go through all of this program and any program where you take notes, where the brain, as you write it out, physically write it out, that information transfers and processes to your brain much better than it does if you just type something. It seems like if you type it out, you tend to forget it a lot quicker than if you handwrite it out. So if you handwrite it out, that will help you a great deal. So I suggest getting some paper and a pen and going about it. A little bit of a short bio. I'll keep this short. I know how a lot of people just go drone on and on and on about all their accomplishments, their successes and everything. I've been around for a long time. I started out in the entertainment business at the age of 9. I've been a professional touring magician. I've traveled all over the United States, Canada, performing. I've been very fortunate because that's a dream, and I was able to live my dream. And I've been doing this for well over 50 years now. So I've been around a while. I've seen a few things, done a few things, made a lot and lots of mistakes, as well as a few successes along the way. So I'm not new at this. I'm not new to marketing, which is my primary focus and background now. I'm not new to copywriting. I go clear back. One of my first mentors, I'll mention some of my mentors here in just a moment, but one of my first mentors was a guy, got his book and read it, found it in a bookstore, and his name was Dr. Jeffrey Lant. And if you're an old guy like me, that name may jingle a bell. He put out several books, hard copy books that he sold. Back in the day, he was very successful, and he was a great copywriter. He's the first one that explained to me with copywriting about features and benefits. And took me a while to get that, as it does most people. But eventually I was able to figure out copies and benefits, and copywriting becomes so much easier when you understand the difference between features and benefits alone. But did that, have worked, I've sold something just about all of my life. Started out taking over my brother's paper route when I was just a young kid. Advanced on to that. By the time I was 15 years old, I was working on Carnival and Circus Midways, selling a deck of trick cards, which I still do today, by the way. Not because I have to these days, but because I enjoy doing it. There's something about stopping a crowd of people and persuading them into buying something that they had no idea when they went to the fair or the carnival that they were going to buy. But I've done that for years and years. And I'll tell you, you learn a lot in sales. There's two ways to basically learn sales as far as old school goes. The first one is to go out and sell in the old days. encyclopedias, vacuum cleaners, things like that, door to door. The other one is what I did, going out and learning how to stop people, a crowd of people, and get them interested in what you're doing. I was using NLP techniques back before NLP was ever, before Bandler and them ever even came up with NLP, I think, or at least in the very early stages. But I had no idea who those guys were. I just was learning how to sell. So some of my influences in the past, man by the name of Joe Carbo. Once again, if you're an old schooler, you may that may ring a bell. He wrote a book, which do I have a copy of it here? I had, yep, right here it is. He wrote a book called The Lazy Man's Way to Riches, and as you can see, it's well worn. I wrote a lot of notes and followed this. I don't know if something just fell out. We'll get it later. A lot of notes and things in it, and this kind of became a Bible of mine when I was young and first getting started. So Joe Carbo was a big influence to me, not only in the book itself, which had basically sound, get your head together things in it, but also once I found out his story of how he came about writing the book, it was rather inspirational of how he did it. There was another man by the name of Don Davison. If you're in the entertainment business, you may know Don Davison from that end of things. Don was an interesting guy. He started out performing magic and things like that. He was a Duncan yo-yo champion, went around and did demonstrations for Duncan yo-yos back in the day. But he also was in the movie and promotion exploitation business, and that's where I learned the most from Don. And we corresponded some, and unfortunately, the ending of his life came way too quick, and I got to know him a little bit, but not as well as what I would have liked to. There was a whole group of guys back then. There was Phil Chandler, Roy Houston, Jimmy Rednauer, Don Davison. They all kind of ran as a rat pack, and I wasn't involved with them in that end of it, but I knew all of those guys. They were full of stories and fun things. Another guy, inspiration-wise, is a man by the name of Jim Rohn, and I still use Jim Rohn's wisdom to this day. And you can't go wrong listening to Jim Rohn. He gave some really good motivational talks, and you can get those. I think Nightingale Conant still has Jim Rohn products. Back then they were on cassette tapes. Today they're on CDs. Man by the name of Zig Ziglar. If you've been involved in sales or any kind of multi-level, that's what I was trying to come up with, was multi-level marketing type things. The name Zig Ziglar will come to mind. Once again, an inspirational guy, great, had a lot of great information on sales, along with Tommy Hopkins and those guys. But Jim Rohn, I'm going to go back to him for a minute, because one of his main things was that he said that that foundations, that everything is built on a solid foundation. And he is kind of noted for saying, beware of anyone who says they have invented a new fundamental. That's like someone saying that they manufacture new antiques. So everything that we're going to talk about here today is based on a foundation. So, so what are we going to learn here today? Let's see if we can get this thing to work here. Well, first glitch is that my PowerPoint is not working. So we will do this manually. Let's see here. I got to get up here where I need to go. There we go. Okay, this is the ultimate success system that never fails. It's built on foundations, foundational principles, and that's why it never fails. If you have something that's built on a solid foundation, chances are it's going to work. It's been around, it's been tested, it's been proven. Just like building a house. If you build a house on a weak foundation, it's not going to last very long. It's going to start falling apart, having a lot of problems. If it's built on a solid foundation, then it will last a long time. Houses that are 100, 200 years old, those were built on solid foundations. So what we're going to learn today is how to quickly and easily achieve all of your dreams, all of your goals, and all of your desires. And this is what we're going to discover by doing this. We're going to learn how to achieve your goals at lightning speed. I mean, this system is so simple that once you put it in practice and develop the habit of using it, reaching goals just happens very, very quickly. Another thing that we're going to learn is the world's most powerful success secret. So you want to watch for that. I'll point all these things out as we come to them, of course. And got pictures that aren't loading. How your mind can magically attract success. This is a very interesting, it's a little on the philosophical side, but it does work. It works for me, it works for a lot of people. We'll get into that here in just a moment. A couple interesting exercises we're going to do. I'm going to give you the best time management system in the world. Everybody runs out of time, it seems like, even though we all have the same 24/7. And I'm going to give you a no-nonsense goal setting system with this. But remember earlier when I was talking and I was saying about, that there's going to be glitches with this. It's a new program. And, I'm just learning it and everything. Well, one of the main foundations of the success system that never fails is what I'm going to show you right now. Are you ready? Here it is. Action. See, the success system that never fails is based on the foundation of taking action. Now, if I had waited until I was 110% ready to do this webinar, chances are it would never happen. And there's probably a lot of you out there right now that have things that you would like to do, but you just don't quite have everything in place, or maybe you're a little nervous, or a little scared about doing it, or wondering what someone is going to think about your thoughts, your ideas. Heaven forbid, maybe you're going to make a mistake, and someone's going to see you make a mistake. Well, let me tell you, we all make mistakes. I've made probably 100 mistakes just in talking to you right now. There's a lot of people, if they would go through and analyze what I'm doing here, they'd say, oh man, that's god awful. Why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? Well, the reason I didn't do a lot of the things is because I wanted to get it started. I wanted to take action. And that is the key foundational principle of the entire system that never fails, is taking action. You have to take action. You have to go. Well, now I'm not talking about diving into something and just being totally unprepared. I prepared for this. I did the slides and I did, the program. I've done this program many times, but it's been several years since I have done it. It is a product that I have sold over the years, but the technology has changed. The information has not changed. The technology has changed. There was no Zoom, and it wasn't easy to do a webinar. It was expensive and costly to do webinars at one time. And we've switched from using cassette recordings to CDs to MP3s to MP4s now. And so the technology has changed. So I wanted to update this so that I could get this information out to you. And the only way to do that is by doing it, by taking the action and doing it. So I'm going to make some mistakes along the way. I'll tell you, this isn't going to be perfect. And as we go along, we're going to keep working at it. It's not what you know. It's what you do with what you know that matters. And once again, it's not what you know. We all know plenty, but it's taking the action and doing something that makes the difference and matters in your webinars of what you're doing. So it's very important that you take action in what you're doing. That is the key fundamental principle of the entire system. Everything else is built on that. Everything else becomes 100% easier once you do that. The next webinar that I do is going to be a little better. The one after that is going to be a little better. The one after that is going to be a little better, until eventually these webinars are just going to be a normal part of my routine to where I do it. So what are the real keys to success? Well, there's 5 keys that you need for the success. The taking the action, that's the first thing you need to do, is just do it. Just be Nike, just do it. But what are you going to do? You have to have an outcome. You have to know where you're headed. You can't. I mean, if you head out on a road trip and you don't know where you're going, chances are that's exactly where you're going to end up. You're not going to know where you end up at. So you have to have an outcome of where you're heading with what you want to do. Once again, that pad of paper and pen, like I told you, just sit down and brainstorm. And I'm going to give you a technique on how to do that here in just a minute, but just brainstorm with the things that you want in your life and jot them down. They're not set in concrete. They're not chiseled in stone to where you can't change them. And this is something that you do for yourself. It's not something that you're going to run out and show to everybody. In fact, I'm going to tell you about that, about sharing the things that you should share and the things you shouldn't share with people of what's going on in your life. So the next thing you need is the knowledge to do. If you don't know how to do something, if you want to do something, you don't know how to do it, you learn how to do it. With this, I'm using this webinar as an example of what I'm talking about. I didn't know how to do Zoom. I didn't know anything about it. In fact, the program was shared to me on another webinar that I attended. And then I was in a coaching program, and that was the platform that is used in the coaching program that I'm involved in. And so I have it, and I'm learning how to use it. All of these things take time, but you need to develop the knowledge. If you don't know how to do something, trust me, you can Google anything these days. My brother and I have just about nightly phone calls where we talk to each other. He lives about 100 miles away from me, my hometown of Columbus. And we get together and we talk about all kinds of things. In fact, we've joked around. We really need to record the calls because uh, they would make an interesting nightly podcast because we talk about anything and everything. But it's funny, we both have our laptops usually, and we'll be talking about something and we'll say, well, I don't know about that, or I hadn't heard that. And we type it into Google, and there it is. 99.9% of the time, we have the answer right in front of us. So you can learn anything these days. You can go to YouTube. There's a YouTube video for everything. Um, uh, uh, Jokingly, there's a YouTube video on YouTube videos. There's lots of YouTube videos on YouTube videos, as a matter of fact. And you have to have a plan. So once you have the outcome, once you know where you're headed, once you have the knowledge, then you have to develop it into a plan. And I'm going to show you how to do that as we go along here. And you need to find the time to do it. Everybody always talks about that they're so busy. I do the same thing. I'm no different than you guys. Where does the day go? I mean, by the time I finish this webinar and relax a little bit, it's going to be time to make supper. Once I have supper, then I'll piddle around for a little bit, maybe watch a little bit of TV. As I said, my brother and I have a nightly call that we do generally, and it's time to go to bed. So, where does the day go? We all have 24 hours, 7 days a week. We all have the same amount of time. It's what you do with your time that makes a difference. So I'm going to talk about that also. And remember me saying nothing is written in stone, nothing is chiseled out. Everything is changeable. So everything that you do, you want to test it, you want to monitor it. Easy for you to say. And then you want to go back and adjust things that aren't working, tweak it a little bit, change it a little bit. Maybe you need to know a little bit something more. When I finish this, I'll know a little bit more what I need to know on using Zoom. Because I want to make this webinar thing work, so that's how I'm going to be able to do it. So. Kind of recapping here, just briefly with this, you need to know where you're heading. You need to have the knowledge. You need to have a plan, a system to follow, a roadmap, if you will. You need to work out to where you have time to do the things that you're planning on doing. And when it's all done and over with, it's never all done and over with. Then you need to test it, see how it works. You need to monitor it, keep an eye on it, watch for changes, things like that. The internet, if you're into internet marketing or anything like that, it changes by the day. It's gotten to the point where it changes by the hour anymore, it seems like. So you want to keep up on what's going on. Then you need to adjust things, tweak things a little bit to make it fit and work even better. So we're going to talk a little bit about outcome thinking at this point. Outcome thinking is a very interesting thing. And everything that you do affects something or someone else. So when you develop your goals and you develop what you want to do, you have to kind of do a little bit of outcome thinking. This was my brother is the one that introduced me to this originally, and it just, a light bulb went off. It caused me to really think about this. Along with outcome thinking, you also need to plan for success, but you also have to be prepared for failure. Once again, plan for success, but you also have to be prepared for failure, because you never know how things are going to turn out. Things can happen. I like to, when I'm doing like coaching, counseling with somebody, I like to explain life as being like a river. And you're going down that river, and maybe everything's all nice and calm and everything's flowing along and everything's doing real good and you're just drifting along and everything. And then all of a sudden, a tree has fallen into the river and is now blocking the river to where you have to alter and maneuver around that tree. You go down a little bit further, everything's running along pretty smooth, and all of a sudden a big boulder has fallen in. You have to alter your course and change and go around. So even though you're planning on going down that river and it's going to be smooth sailing, you have to be prepared for obstacles to come in the way. And they will come. Trust me, I know. I I have had more happen in the last few years than I would ever wish on anybody. I've had my wife passing away. I had a lady friend who passed away. I have had 3 major surgeries last year. I have had all kinds of stuff, and it never stops. It never stops. I've got, I need to replace transmission in my van. My car quit running within the same week, needs a new radiator. It just never stops. But you have to be planned for success. You have to have a good outlook. Things really get to you if you don't have a good outlook. But you have to plan for success, but be prepared for failure. And you have to do what is called systems thinking. Now, this systems thinking, this is what my brother turned me on to and caused the light bulb to go off in my head. Because he pointed out to me that everything that you do affects a whole bunch of other stuff. So when you plan a goal and you're working with your other people, you know, that this would affect, you have to look at how it all affects everything. You might call it looking at the big picture, because everything that you do, and if you think about this, it makes a lot of sense. Everything that you do affects someone or something. And the things that they do affects them and the people that they deal with. So systems thinking is very important when you're planning out what you're going to do. You need to give it some thought. You may say, you know, I want to make $200,000 this year. Well, what is going to happen when you reach that? How is that going to change things? Now, you might say, oh, well, then I wouldn't have to worry about anything. Really? It's going to affect the people around you. It could be, I mean, you know, positive ways it's going to affect them, but there's negative ways. It's going to affect you. You're suddenly, if you're not used to having that type of money flowing in, it's going to affect your lifestyle and what you do with the money and how you spend it and all of that. It's going to affect what you pay in taxes. It's going to affect the people, if you have employees, it's going to affect them. Everything that you do affects someone or something else. And that's systems thinking. And once again, you can Google it and get more information about it along the way. Going back to action, taking action, and whether you're ready or not, you have to take action. And in marketing, there's an old term called ready, fire, aim. And it's exactly that. In marketing, we say that good enough is good enough. Now, that doesn't mean that you put out something that is crap and just rush through it and it has all kinds of mistakes or it's shoddy, it's not quality. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is striving for perfection. You're never going to reach perfection. With this webinar, I mean, there is absolutely no chance that this webinar is going to turn out perfect. I could have told you that before I ever sat down to start it. There is just no way that it's going to start out and be perfect. So good enough is good enough. Once again, you want to work quickly. You want to fail forward fast. So again, that's fail forward fast. That means make a big mess of things. You can go back, clean it up later. Okay. Don't worry about, don't worry about everything being 100% perfect. You can go back and tweak it. I can go back and edit this webinar and make it a lot better after I do it. But the key thing is that I'm doing it. And this is something to keep in mind. You'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Think about that. If you don't try, you're not going to know whether you are going to be a success or not. Man, it's easy just to say, I wished I would have done it. So anyway, the 5 keys to success are having an outcome, getting the knowledge that you need to have a plan, develop the time, test, monitor, and adjust, and above all, remember to take action. Now, I said that I was going to give you a little bit of an exercise, and that's what I'm going to do right now. This is if you don't know, I'm a certified master hypnotist, certified NLP trainer. And I'm not telling you that to brag or to sound important or anything. I'm just telling you this so that you know that I have the knowledge of what I'm talking about. Back in the days with Jim Rohn used to tell a story. And it involved visualizing. You have to really visualize what you want in your life, what you want to do. And one of the things that Jim Rohn told was a story about a man who was building a house. And him and a friend of his were talking one day, and he says, well, let me take you out and show you where my house is. He drives the guy out, and there's a vacant lot there. The guy says, well, he says that's nice, but I hate to tell you, Jim, there's no house there. And he said, yeah, there is. He says, I see a house there. He says, it's a vacant lot. He says, yes, but I see the house in my mind. He says, I know exactly down to the finest detail of what this house is going to be, what it's going to look like, what it's going to have. He says, let me give you a tour. They go up. He reaches his hand out, opens the door, says, come on in. They come in and they walk around. And he says, this is the foyer and this is the dining area. And he says, this is the room that I like the most. He says, this is my den. And he said, I've got all my books on the walls, and it's all rich mahogany, and he describes this down to the most finite detail, even to titles of the books on the wall. And he says, this is my fireplace. And he says, it's made from the finest stone that can be had. And he says the fire in it is roaring, and he says it's really great, isn't it? The guy walks a little bit, and he goes, ouch. And Jim says, what's wrong? And he says, I bumped my shoulder in the corner of the fireplace there. It hurt. See, he created a visual picture so strong that he was able to convince his friend that he hurt himself on the corner of the fireplace. And that's what you need to do. Now I'm going to give you just a real quick exercise. We're not going to take the time because we're already running. I can tell we're running short on time here. And I do want to get through this. I want to keep it as close to an hour as possible, but it does look like we're going to run over just a little bit, if that's okay with you. But this is what you do. Make yourself comfortable. Find a chair. You can do this laying down. Doesn't matter. Just make yourself comfortable. This is not hypnosis, by the way. It's just a visualization exercise. And what I'd like you to do is to make yourself comfortable. Take in a deep breath. Hold it for a moment and exhale. And as you exhale, just begin to relax yourself. And do this several times until you relax and become comfortable. And your mind begins to drift a little bit. Close your eyes. And you begin to drift. And a million thoughts are going to be going through your head. But you try to do what is called quiet yourself. Try to center yourself by focusing. A lot of people talk about a third eye right in the middle of your forehead. If you kind of direct your attention to that third eye in the middle of your forehead and just focus on that and just let all of the stresses of the day, of the moment, just release themselves from you as you breathe in comfortably, deep breaths, relaxing breaths. Each time you exhale, you relax more. And then I want you to think about the biggest goal that you have at this point, the one thing that you want to accomplish the most. And it could be anything. I'm going to leave that up to you, and it will change from time to time because you'll do this with each of your goals. And as you think about that, I want you to visualize it. Think about it. Picture it in your mind's eye, that third eye right in the middle of your forehead. Think about it with your eyes closed and just visualize it and make it as real as possible. Use what is called future tense, and that you see yourself in that future tense, just like Jim Rohn explained and visualized for his friend the house. He visualized it so detailed that it became real. And in your mind's eye, I want that goal to become real. And just concentrate on that, focus on it, fix it in your mind as already happening, as already being, as already there. And just concentrate on that as long as you like. You might want to play a little bit of relaxing music in the background. And just take however long you want, but I would suggest no less than 15 minutes, probably closer to a half an hour. And just concentrate and build it in your mind. And that it might take a little bit of practice. It might take a little bit of time to do it, but build it in your mind's eye to where it becomes real, to where you, if it's a physical item, it's something that you can actually hold in your hand and see it in your hand. Even with your eyes open, you can see it in your hand. And then breathe, relax. And when you're comfortable, just open your eyes. As I said, this isn't hypnosis. It's just a visualization exercise for you to do. Now, this is so powerful. The man by the name of Napoleon Hill said, what the mind can conceive, it can achieve. If you focus on this in your mind's eye and create it, you can hold it in your hand and it becomes real. Napoleon Hill is probably most noted for the book Think and Grow Rich. However, he actually wrote several other books, which a lot of people, including myself, think that some of those are better than Think and Grow Rich. I've got several of them over here. He wrote Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. He wrote The Master's Key to Riches, which is actually was before Think and Grow Rich. And Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. I guess that's the only ones that I have here right now. But anyway, he wrote several other books, and those are still available, so you can get those. So what do you need to have for this goal system? You need to have written goals. They have to be written down. You have to write them out. You can't just say, I want this, I want that. You have to write them out. You want to have a positive and a present deadline. As you're working on this, you want to have a deadline. It could be hours, days, weeks, months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. But you want to have deadlines. That gives you something to work for. And don't beat yourself up if you don't reach it by that deadline. But it gives you something to shoot for. It's good to make a list of the reasons that you must achieve your goal. Most people, this is a biggie, most people give up their goals way too soon. Most people set New Year's resolutions anywhere from a few days to about the 15th. I'm doing, this is the 15th of the month. So a lot of people are giving up their goals right now. Another thing that you can do is take file cards, just ordinary. I always have them on my desk here. See, I do this stuff. I do a lot of it. Not perfect, don't do it all, but just file cards, just an ordinary file card. Just get a package here, less than $1. I don't know how much they are. But anyway, package of file cards, write your goals down on the card. Then you've got them written down. And then you can, I'll tell you something you can do with them here in just a moment. And you need to have a action plan, a plan of when you're actually going to do this stuff, okay? So this is Secret to Goal Achievement. It's one quote. It's from Winston Churchill. If you don't know your history, you need to look up Winston Churchill. He said, never, never, never give up. That is probably my favorite quote of all quotes. I have lived that most of my life. I get knocked down, I get up, dust myself off, get back on the horse and do it again. Never, never, never give up. If you give up your goals, you've given up everything. I like that. Never, never, never give up. Trust me. I've had plenty of times that I probably should have given up, but I don't know. I keep on going. These are some tricks that you can do to trick your brain. Do the visualization that I talked about a while ago. I've got some other material available on that if you're interested. I told you this, no pitch. This isn't theory. It's all the real deal. So I'm not going to give you a pitch on other products. The sleep secret. Sleep secret is just before you go to bed at night, do that visualization exercise and then just drift off into sleep. Make it real and go to sleep thinking about it. Interesting thing about that is a lot of times you sleep upon it and you wake up the next morning and it's one of the first things that comes to your mind. Vocalize. Actually say your goals out loud. Take your goal cards and read them out loud, not just to yourself, but out loud. I will accomplish, fill in the blank, by, fill in the blank date. The magic mirror. It's not a magic trick. What you do is, remember I told you, write the file cards down, write the goals on the file cards, put them places where you see them every day. What's one of the first things in the morning that you do? Go into the bathroom. Put your goals on the bathroom mirror where you can see them. Some people say write them on there. I think just write them on a card is a good thing. Put them on the dashboard of your car or vehicle. Put them in anywhere. Put them on your desk where you see it, where you can see it all the time. If it's something like a car or something like that you want, a house, something like that, and you know specifically exactly what it is that you want, then take a picture and cut it out of a magazine or something, or print it offline and put that on the card with the goal so you can see it. Just visualize. Visualization is a way underrated thing in my book. Turn your subconscious mind into a magnet that attracts what you desire. See, when you think, it's the subconscious mind that you're using to visualize and to create those images in your mind. That goes into your subconscious. That's what hypnosis is all about. Hypnosis works with the subconscious mind. And we attract success by becoming, or by the person that we become. See, I just made a mistake again. We attract success by the person we become. Think about that. Who do we associate with? What are the things that we do? What are the habits that we have? Are they really conducive for success in your life? You need to give it some thought. Now I'm going to give you the ultimate, well, time management system, except it's not a time management system. It's a time management system that's not a time management system. This is it. You want to become outcome-based and not to-do-based. You know how most everybody has done this at some point? You have a to-do list. If you're married, you get lots of to-dos lists. I remember those. List of things that you need to do. Well, you get rid of that, and you need to have an outcome list. The things that you want to accomplish and when you want to accomplish them. Once again, the file card can work for that. You just hand write it out, little notes. If you're a guy, carry it around in your billfold. If you're a lady, carry it around in your purse with your outcomes. If you're sitting there with nothing to do, pull it out, take a look at it and read it. These sound like little things. Some of them sound like silly things. But trust me, they are important things. To be outcome-based, you need to have a clear set of what you want. You need to have an action plan. So you need to know exactly what you want, how you're going to reach it. Not to say that it's not going to change as you go along. These are some things you can do on a weekly basis that will help you find time for all of this stuff. You need to schedule health-related activities. You need to do some exercises. Hard for a lot of us to do. That's a goal in itself. You can sit at your desk and do exercises. You can do, finger exercises. You can do, things. Schedule some time for that. You need to give some thought to your spiritual, whatever it is that you believe. Doesn't matter to me what you believe. Everybody believes different things. If you don't believe in anything, that's your spiritual belief. Plain and simple. Need to have a good mental attitude. We all get depressed from time to time. We all have down days, more productive days than others. Need to schedule appointments and keep to them. And if you schedule appointments, don't change your whole day around to fit in, because what's the sign? I've seen the sign that says, your lack of planning does not constitute my emergency. That's exactly it. Don't rearrange your day, your plans around because somebody else didn't plan theirs out. How's that? And you need to know on a weekly basis, daily basis actually, what outcomes you'll be working on, what things you'll be doing. So we're almost at the end of this. On a daily basis, write down the 6 most important things you must do that day. Then you need to put next to the things that the 6 most important things that you need to do each day, you need to put the length of time you will devote to each of them. And you need to schedule them, actually plan them. Plan for interruptions. You're going to have interruptions. Someone's going to call you. Someone's going to knock on the door. If you're in an office, someone's going to show up in the office. You're going to have all kinds of interruptions. So plan on them. Allow some time for that. This is a biggie. Don't live on the computer. Check your email twice a day. You're not going to accomplish anything spending 24/7 on Facebook, folks. I waste way too much time as it is. And I falsely tell myself that I'm doing something constructive, that I'm networking. I'm not networking, I'm wasting time. Most of the time getting aggravated and frustrated with people. That's not good either. If you haven't figured it out, I kind of tell it like it is. I try to be a nice person, but sometimes things get under my skin and aggravate me. I'm just talking to you. So how do you determine those 6 most important things? Well, it's pretty easy, actually. Do the productive thing, the most productive thing. Is it on your plan of action list? What are the 6 things I could do today that would make it an incredible day? So here's some inspirational stories to tell you. Then we're going to wrap things up here. We've actually, if you go back, we've covered an awful lot of territory. But this is the first one that I'm going to tell you is about the power of focus, determination, and the belief that you can do the things that you decide you want to do. And it is, there we go. This person was said to be crippled for life. Had several debilitating diseases as a child, including polio. Don't hear much about polio anymore, but at one time it was a devastating thing. This person couldn't walk normally. I gave a clue until she was 11 years old. So you can guess who I'm talking about here. She became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in track and field at a single Olympics. After being told that she couldn't do any of these things, that she would never be able to walk normally, let alone run. And I'm talking about a lady by the name of Wilma Rudolph, an incredible Olympian, an incredible story. I'm going to take a drink here. This is a story about perseverance. This person's first wife died. No, we're not talking about me, although I identify with this person quite a bit. No fear of cheating. I just showed the screen there. They ran for a seat in the State House of Representative and they lost. Then they ran for a seat in the Senate and lost. Then they ran again and lost again. Where am I at here? And then they were elected president of the United States. Recognize him? Abraham Lincoln. Had a lot of adversity to overcome his entire life. Suffered from depression, lots of problems. But yet he was able to accomplish his goal and become president. Belief in what you can do is crucial. Whether you believe you can do something or you can't do something, you're probably right. This person broke the 4-minute mile record. But guess what? 46 days later, it was broken again by somebody else. Remember me saying about Napoleon Hill, what you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. If you visualize and see it happening. And of course, we're talking about Roger Bannister. So the ultimate success system that never fails. We've covered how to achieve your goals at lightning-like speeds. The world's most powerful success secret. Remember what that was? Yes, taking action. Congratulations. Your mind can magnetically attract success through visualization. You have to have an outcome management system. Remember, everything that you do affects someone or something else. And you have to have a practical, no-nonsense goal system. Well, we've covered a lot of territory here. And I believe we're a little over an hour by, 10, 15 minutes. Sorry, I tried to get it all in, but hopefully it was all worthwhile and interesting for you. The ultimate success system that never fails. Hopefully you took good notes. Hopefully we didn't run into too many glitches on the webinar. Thank you for participating. Take the information that I gave you and put it to good use. I plan to have an awesome year this year. Doing a lot of cool stuff, doing a lot of things that I want to do, and living life to the fullest. So, Y'all have a great day. This is Dr. Rick, and we will see you later. And let's see here. If you're still there, we are cleaning things up here. I want to try to make sure that I got my recording. And we are going to stop the recording right now.